he's snapping one off. Oh my God. Oh, being dead has never been so exciting. Oh, I think he's done. Oh my goodness. All over himself. Oh, he's coming. Goodbye. Why is this stuff on? I'm not ready yet. Well, I guess we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to Pillar to Post. This is where you get all the breaking news of the Wasteland Domination. I thank you for joining me today, and what an exciting week it's been in the Wasteland. A lot of things have happened, folks. A lot of things. And I gotta say, the shakeup at the beginning of the week really set the tone for the remainder of the week here in the Wasteland. We have had 7 nations fall. Still a little bit odd that this was already recording. I do apologize, folks. If there is a lot of silence at the beginning, I do apologize. We don't have the ability to replay and edit, so we're bringing this to you the way it needed to be done. Mistakes are made. That's going to happen. But here in the Wasteland, things have been shaken up a lot during the week. Now, we've seen early on that New Sparta fell at the hands of the Viking horde. Later on, it would be Warrior Nation that would be usurped and destroyed and run over, and it was a terrible, terrible mess. Believe me, don't want to be a part of it when it happens. But folks, these are the fallen nations. So as you can see here, folks, you've got Warrior Nation, New Sparta, Tartarus, the Barons. Yes, the Barons have fallen. The Barons have fallen by way of Aztec Nation. And you've got Capital City that was run down quickly by Opaque Nation. And you've got the Dark Circus that was overrun by the Barons, but then the Barons was overtaken by, yes, Aztec Nation, as I spoke earlier. We also have seen Kindred fall. That land also now belongs to the Aztec Nation. Big things happening here, and it is going fast. We already have filmed 9 shows in total. We're going on 10 Monday night at 8 p.m. It's been unbelievable. There's been a lot of other news as well. We'll get into that in a little bit. The one thing we noticed, though, Azteca was very proud when they captured Kindred Nation along with the Barons in hopes of that very lush farmland, the vineyards and the orchards. When they arrived, though, they found a Yetis. It had been destroyed by Yetis, or at least one Yeti. And that could only mean one thing. Kindred Nation lost control of a very large pet in Wild-Eyed Yeti bloodshed. This man has gone through the vineyard, through the orchards, total destruction, not the way Kindred Nation had left it. We'll get into where everyone stands in the Wasteland shortly, but we'll bring up the map, you might say, and reveal how that looks right now. And we've color coordinated it. So here we go, folks. As you can see, in orange, it all belongs to Valhalla now. They have taken New Sparta over. They're working consistently on Aztec Nation, but Aztec Nation now untouchable, but they did claim Warrior Nation in a big brawl. Opaque Nation still has that opportunity. Yes, the women allowing the men to walk through their nations to get towards their destinations now. So Opaque Nation has the ability to travel up and through Aztec Nation until They've got that one man left standing. They got to take that last man away from Aztec Nation to get to Valhalla, but I believe they can do it, folks. OPEC Nation can also travel to Purgatory, but the white is all Aztec Nation, and right now run by mainly women. Aztec Nation holds the majority of the wastelands in control. Tells you how much these Amazons are worthy of battling here in the wasteland. OPEC Nation still only able to keep hold of their starting point. They capitalized on Capital City, turn that over. Guaranteed they are looking to take out Purgatory next, as well as the last remaining man of Aztec Nation. Purgatory in red, still at the bottom of their continent. And as you can see, Steel City still holding strong. We're going to get to more news on Steel City because the ruler has been behind closed doors all day long. I'm a little bit curious as to what has been transpiring over in Steel City. Steel City in yellow. Still where they started off, but staying strong. Eternity. Eternity could be in trouble very soon. Eternity will be very shortly overrun by the Amazons. Regulators still in their little area at the bottom of the continent, the island that once was Australia. Now, I gotta say, the matches this week have been exciting. They've been in your face, and it has been going down a lot like I wanted to. Very unpredictable, very nasty brawls where people have bled, have shed their sweat, their blood, their tears. It has been atrocious. And that's what we're all waiting for here in the Wasteland. We're soon getting down to between just the women facing the women and the men, the warriors facing their warriors. We're already down to 7 nations, folks. Yes, 7 nations have toppled. We start off with 14. Now, I believe those are the only ones we've got to show you. Thankfully, I was not prepared to do this, but when I came down over here and the record button was ready going, I knew I had to get to work. So we're going to get to news on the ongoings behind the closed doors of Steel City. And I've gotten news that states the ruler of the Wasteland has brought 2 new men he found deep in the city of Steel City that wanted to take up the war, and he has introduced me to TJ and Sean Shamrock. Unbelievable there. He is adding to his crew, and when asked why he was able to do this, he said, for one, shut the fuck up. I'm the ruler. I can do as I want. 2, because 2 dastardly little buggers snuck off in the middle of the night, disappeared into the wastelands. Tartarus fell. So, he has the right to bring 2 new men into this war. He says Steel City will be needing the support of the people to win this war. And he's got quite the task on his hands, seeing as Valhalla, OPEC Nation, and Purgatory have the largest armies out in the Wasteland. And they are ready for battle, folks. No denying it at all. I got a fear for the ruler's decision. And what his mind is going through right now, because he was hoping things would go so much differently. Blaze McCoy, the ruler of the Wasteland, when he made that proclamation of bringing change for the better of the Wasteland, returning things to the glory days of man, well, it didn't quite turn into that. And we've got more news on that. Rex Rapolsky, behind the whole entire demise of the Steel City Summit, had doctored the papers that Blaze McCoy had already worked tirelessly through to make sure that all his plans would be accepted by the nations of the Wasteland, Rex Rapolsky claimed that he is the reason why the Wasteland will fall. Unbelievable there, Rex Rapolsky. I gotta say, when the armies come and get you, I hope they burn you at the stake. The Empress of the Wasteland also had news stating that once all the women have been set free of the men's dominating ways, it will be a strict war. It will be Amazon versus Amazon. And when there is only one nation left standing, right now there is probably only 2 nations with women left in them. The war will end between the women, and they will rise up and they will make the Wasteland in the image of them. Now, I can't argue about that. I would love a Wasteland that was looking all kinds of sexy, but it is not my decision which direction Evie Bloodshed will take. It's interesting. Now we know that the men and women have this equality thing going where the men will not harm the women will not attack the men. I do respect that, but I wonder what would go down if the 2 sides would meet and collide. How different would this war look right now? So we're going to get into the situation here in the Wasteland for every nation here in RWO. So Aztecan Nation right now, like I said, the majority women. They only have 1 male left, and that would be Gator Dean. So let's go over what the roster looks like for Aztecan Nation. We're going to start off with the First Lady of Aztecan Nation in Alexa Weiss. And then you've got Hot Cheese, Jane Bones, Doll Baby, Holly Cyanide, Speranza, Bubs, Missy Canuck, Raven, Evie Bloodshed, Cassie Madam Red, Goddess of Fancy, Maggie May, Miss Jiggles, Cassie Joe, Shannon Wall, Samantha Wall, Nadine Wall, and the Amazon herself, Wrestling Mama. Quite the army there, and I don't think many nations can stand up to them. Next on the list is Eternity. Anastasia, Oxidizing Angel, one of the last soul survivors of Eternity, along with Sophia Nightwalker. She-Hulk Chick, Bad Jam, Susie the Elf, the First Lady of Eternity, also returned recently, and a POW captured on the regulator grounds, Mrs. Utaker and Cougar Silver. OPEC Nation has grown strong, folks. They have grown strong, but they've suffered some serious losses this week. We're going to start off with one of the originals in Beardy. AJ Jenks, Dave Wall, Chance Harper, Austin Wall, Macy Lucas, Scuzz, Ronan Hart, Razor, Mark Bilsma, Ripper Springheel, Nightmare, Cowboy John, and the gold standard, Ben Wall. Up next is Purgatory. Damien Adams, Twitch, Matt Outlaw, Bone Dog, D-Train, Mondo, Shifty, Fred Starr, Johnny Platinum and Judgment, Yeti Bloodshed, Vrock, Molotok, Mark Caliber, Evil Eyes, Giggles, Tyson Parker, Shmoo, Young Samurai, Silver Bullet, and Little Feck. Left in the regulator territory, Mordred Nightwalker, Danny Derringer, Redneck Avenger, Rick Race, Bo Cephas Brown, Destroyer, Joker, and Steel City. Your ruler. Yes, Blaze McCoy still leading the fight. Daddy Danger, recently captured by Blaze himself, froze in rage, and like I stated at the top of the show, he has searched high and low in Steel City for men worthy of the battle. He found TJ and Sean Shamrock. Trying to hold on to his territory is Blaze McCoy. Finally, we're going to talk about Valhalla. We're going to talk about Valhalla after we name off the list as well, because there's been a lot of things going on over there. We're going to start off with one of the originals, Thor, Josh Dynamite, Ricky Vaughn, Ansgar, John the Revelator, Paragon of Greatness, Jake Bagwell, Jeremy Hyde, War, Demented, Pete Wall, Uncle Frank, Terrell Johnson, Uncommitted Hooligan, Enoch, Sir Dragon, Daniel Doring, Super Nacho, Cody Smith, Griffith Davian, Lord Amadeus, Killa Neptune, Adam Guerin, Almar Wolf, and Jester. That brings out the members now in Valhalla, and quite the crew these men have acquired, have captured. But the funny thing is, not all people are willing to accept the ways of life of the Vikings. They have a very, very natural way of living. They love to go out to the waters, do their fishing on their boats. They don't care if they're dirty. They don't care if they're clean. They don't care if they're caked with mud. They just like living. But certain folks that have been captured have been really working against this and trying to change the way of their lifestyle. And I'm talking about Griffith Davian, Lord Amadeus, a few others like Paragon, John the Revelator, Ricky Vaughn, and Almar Wolf. Now these men have been kind of segregated, you might say. And it's been interesting when I received this news, because I seen War, as well as folks like Pete Wall and Uncle Frank, chasing these men around, complete, stark naked were these men. Yes, they were stripped of all their dignity from the Vikings, chased around with spears while being laughed at and made fun of. They are placed in a pit of mud for the night. They are not allowed fresh beds. They are not allowed to use straw. No, they are slapped in a mud pit, and that is where they must sleep at night. They are not allowed to bathe, and if they are allowed to bathe, it must be the cold waters of the north. Very, very interesting. Now, when they are fed the scraps of the clan that is left. And I don't approve, because the Vikings have an abundance of food to go around. But until these men have learned the ways of the Vikings, they have been told, you eat what we give you, you sleep where we tell you, and you bathe when we say you can. So very interesting over there. Gotta believe that certain members of this crew would love to be captured by someone else, and that's coming very soon, because wow, the war is heating up. The crews are large, not many nations left standing. In Steel City, still living the high life is our ruler of the Wasteland, dictating the pace on how things are going. Now, unfortunately, he just lost 3 crucial members of his roster, and you gotta bet he needs them back. Now, the rumors of the past have been revealed, and they have been speaking. I'm talking about Cowboy John's crew of the Regulators, as well as Blaze McCoy, trying to broker a treaty, a peace, and to join forces to try and battle the onslaught coming their way via Valhalla and Purgatory. Now, right now, OPEC Nation doesn't have exactly as much as they need to transport themselves all the way over to Steel City, but Purgatory is very close, and you know Valhalla is going to want to travel through Aztecan Nation to get at the ruler of the Wasteland. And when they do, I hope that our ruler has his guards in place firmly, because things are going to go bad, and bad they will be. If not for the members of Regulators in both Cephas Brown and Redneck Avenger, I do believe the Regulators would have fallen by now. But these two crucial members keeping that nation alive, or I should say territory. No Man's Land, once a great and proud nation, destroyed by bickering and needs of different positions, and they split to form the Regulators as well as Eternity, now completely decimated by wars between the two factions. It's about time this war ends between the two. Purgatory has stayed the same since the beginning. They live their lifestyle. They don't care how they live. They don't care how dirty they get. It's all about living, surviving, and winning the war. So they've garnered a huge crew and big brawlers. Guys like Yeti, Blood You Shed. Guys like Fred Starr. Guys like Judgment. Shmoo. Silver Bullet. Unbelievable. These guys have got a fighting crew on their hands. And hell, the contract dictates, doesn't matter where you're from, once captured, you must fight for the nation you now reside in. OPEC Nation done very well for themselves, I must say. OPEC Nation, a very strong and proud nation, and they have got some big fighters on their hands too. I know Scuzz would love to be back home in Aztecan Nation along with his queen, the First Lady of Aztecan Nation. That likely won't happen, but he will fight for OPEC Nation regardless. And they got men like the Gold Standard, Cowboy John, Ripper Springheel, Mark Bilsma, Ronan Hart. Big men fighting for them. Eternity, like I said, they are on their last breath. No men to help protect the lands anymore. If Steel City wants to war with Regulators or vice versa, they can travel through those lands now. But I have a sneaky suspicion that these two nations will form to make a new nation. It's just rumors I'm hearing, but with the reveal of these two new wrestlers in TJ and Sean Shamrock, you know the ruler is up to something, and it's going to unfold next week. I know it will. As I said at the start of the match, Aztecan Nation down to one last man. And once he is fallen I should say, then the women will have the right to battle as they will. Now we started seeing some news about the Amazons of Renegade Wrestling Organization, and that was the start. The Empress of the Wasteland, Evie Bloodshed, putting her foot down and said the women need a platform of their own. They received that, and that will transition until this Wasteland Domination series has concluded and we have one nation left standing. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Empress of the Wasteland has just as much power as the ruler of the Wasteland, and what she says must be followed. And believe me, she's going to make it be followed till the bitter end. Now, I believe I do have some other news here. Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just receive this. Next week on Saturday night, late night, will be the debut of Faction Action Wrestling Worldwide. Yes, in partnership with Blazed Radio's Leaning Towards Death Wrestling, the ruler of the Wasteland is allowing Faction Action Wrestling Worldwide to take place within the Wasteland. He says he has found a way to make it happen, and I gotta tell you, the lineup for that first show is going to be a hit. Now let me go through that, and don't expect it. You're going to have to use some patience because, like I said, it will only take place next week, Saturday, late night. So, FAW Worldwide, our very first match will be the Junkyard Dogs, and that is the infamous JYD teaming up with Moondog Spot and Moondog Rex, and they'll be taking on the likes of the New Jersey Triad. You've got DDP, Canyon, Bam Bam Bigelow. Ooh, I love that team. And then we're going to follow that match up with an 8-man ladder match, a #1 contendership match for the Faction Championship. And we're going to have the Digital Horsemen in Blaze McCoy, Scuzz, Cowboy John, and Chance Harper taking on the likes of the Blackjacks. Yes, I'm talking about Blackjack Lanza, Mulligan, Bradshaw, and Wyndham. Very interesting right there. A TLC tag. Actually, let's go back to this match right here, the 8-man ladder match. Now, these are two teams facing each other, every man for himself, but the man that pulls the briefcase down does have the contract for his team to go on to face the next team that wins next week's 8-man ladder match for the same privilege. We're going to have two #1 contenders in the end, and at our first pay-per-view, those two teams will collide in a 8-man elimination match to decide who will be the very first faction champion. It will just be called Faction Champion. But up next, though, we've got a TLC tag in the Samoan Savages, Afa and Sika, going up against the Butchers and Bruisers, and representing them will be Bruiser Brody and Ox Baker. Very interesting right there. I like that. Dig it. 6-man elimination chamber. This will be to crown our very first FAW Worldwide Heavyweight Champion. We're going to start this list off with Gorgeous George. Then we're going to move on to Hulk Hogan. Moving on, Big Dick Dudley. And then from the Digital Horseman, Uncommitted Hooligan. And he'll be taking on the likes of Superstar Billy Graham and Mad Dog Vachon. Yes, indeed, gonna be an interesting 6-man elimination chamber. And then we're going to follow that up with an 8-man tag. It's going to be the first family, the family. The Godfather, Pete Wall, Ben Wall, Austin Cole, and Dave Wall. And they'll be taking on Legion of Dooms, Hawk, Animal, Puke, and Heidenreich. And if you don't know who Puke is, oh, wake the fuck up, because his name was Draws. And then in our big main event, it will be a submission match, and the winner will have the right to take on the first champion. Yes, that wins that 6-man elimination chamber match. Doesn't matter who it is, but at our first pay-per-view, it'll come down between one of these two men, Ken Patera, taking on Bruno Sammartino. That will be the main event of our very first FAW Worldwide. Oh, what a night it's going to be. What a night it's going to be. Until then, though, on Monday night at 8 p.m., you've got RWO Wasteland Domination. We're going to continue the war, folks. On Wednesday night, at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to continue the war with Wasteland Domination. Thursday night, it's all about the women. The Amazons of RWO will be in action. The tournament for the Hellcat Championship title match will continue. And then Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, folks, we're going back to the war, folks. Back to Wasteland Domination. It's going to be off the hook. I'm going to love every minute of it, and I know you will too. Everyone's interested to see who the last nation will be left standing. Or shall I say, last two nations, seeing as the women have now been taking themselves away from their men and joining a war on their own. It's been beautiful to see, folks, and it's coming down between Aztec Nation and eternity. Which nation will be the last nation standing for our women? Which nation will be the last one standing for our men? It's interesting to see, and I'm so interested in it, folks. Now, if you guys want to find some great channels to watch, do me a favor. Go to Pillar to Post homepage, and I've got a list on the right side that says Circle of Steel Soldiers, and you will find a huge list under that. That will be all the channels that this guy supports. My name is Pete Wall. I host Pillar to Post, and I'm proud of the accomplishments we've made here. I'm proud of the community that has grown around this whole endeavor that I started, bringing wrestlers from Wrestler Unstoppable, a Facebook app, over to YouTube, and then grabbing some subscribers as they came in and bringing them together to create a wonderful, wonderful community. It's been great. Now with Faction Action Wrestling, we're going to do things a little bit differently than they are done on Blaze Radio. We're going to do it so that way 1 week we've got Faction Action Wrestling, and the next week it will be Fantasy Action Wrestling, where you, the viewers, the fans, will be able to choose who you want to see battle who. Now, right now, the RWO roster is limited to what they can do within FAW. So, once we get that over and done with, and we can bring more RWO men and women, because yes, we are going to have a Women's Legend roster coming very soon. Right now, it is very limited on who will be able to participate. So you can take new school from, say, the roster that WWE 2K18 gave you, and the old school, new school, and fantasy roster that we've created for FAW. I gotta say, I am very proud to be a part of this whole Faction Action Wrestling. I've always wanted to be able to work more and intertwine more of my creative ideas along with Blaze McCoy's, and this has given us the opportunity to do so. He says he figured out a way for me to travel back in time in order to do this with him, and I gotta say, I love it. I love it. And the day that we've been able to figure out where we can do co-commentary together here on the PS4, I guarantee you it's gonna happen. It's going to happen, and it's going to be beautiful. Also, I want you guys to make sure you are constantly making sure you keep up with Bomb Pop Overdrive, because MPW, that is Midwest Pro Wrestling, run by Mark Mayhem, is coming back very soon. He is working diligently and as quickly as time allots him to bring that roster together. We just seen 2 more reveals this past week. It was beautiful. It was great to be a part of. I love being a co-commentator with him. He's a great host, a great man to be around. So don't want to forget about that. Also, today, just earlier, we seen Hugo Lavallee bring you, yes, HWA. That is Hooligan Wrestling Alliance, folks. What a great show. 8 hours straight streaming. It's beautiful. Runs that along with Wrestling Mama. And also check out Wrestling Mama. Every night we have a trifecta show. We start off at 6 p.m. with RWO, Wasteland Domination. We move into Blazed Radio's Leaning Towards Death Wrestling or Faction Action Wrestling. And then we transition into, yes, Wrestler Survivor, hosted by Wrestling Mama. You want to check that out. Funny as hell. We have a great time there. The community is always top notch. Don't ever be afraid to join in the chat on these channels, because we all love to have fun. Now, as for the warm weather that we've had today, was a beautiful weather. I think we had a high of 15. So that lets me know we are gearing up towards the spring days that we're so desperately wanting here in the cold, cold Canadian provinces. So you won't be seeing me much very soon once the warm weather comes on during the daylight hours, because I'll be working outside on my son's car. I will have many other projects being uploaded to Pillar to Post. So you want to stay tuned for that stuff. And if you are into gearheads, if you are gearheads and into old cars, as well as upgrading them and customizing them, you definitely want to check some of the stuff out that's coming your way here on Pillar to Post. Like I said, this channel isn't just about wrestling anymore. It's about everything that I do. Working on the short story. I thought I had it done, ready to go to Mark from Bomb Pop Overdrive. Not quite yet. A little bit of tweaking here and there. But I hope you guys are going to love what we bring you when that's released. Also working on my second novel titled Dragon's Gate, Book 2 in the Circle of Steel Chronicles. That's going to be concentrated heavily on this summer. So, like I said, I won't be around too much during the daytime, but in the evenings, I'll be here. I'll be entertaining as best as I can and having a great time along with all of you. I want to thank you all for tuning in for this little tidbit of news I brought to you this week. Like I said, a lot of changes were made. A lot of things went down in the Wasteland this week, and it is looking interesting. Thank you all very much for tuning in, and my name is Pete Wall. I am the host of Pillar to Post, the voice of RWO. It's time to say goodnight, folks. I am out of here.